Hello, Dr. Reeves, and hello, future me. This is Brianna doing a digital recording of my Praxis Archive Synthesis Paper 1. I chose to do a digital recording because I chose to do a digital archive. As you can see, I've made myself a website using Weebly, and I've loved this process. I've learned a lot about website creation, which is going to be essential for me in the future, as a lot of teachers right now have their own classroom website. I'm also going to use this website to introduce myself and what I've been doing to my student teaching placement mentors. I'm excited for them to get this link and see what I've been learning, and maybe we can use that in the future together. Before I get into the questions that we want to address for this synthesis paper, I just want to give you a little explanation about what I've included in this website. As you can see, this is the home page. It's called the Portfolio of an Aspiring Educator. That's me. I chose to put on this quote, "If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn." This quote has resonated in my heart for most of my education career. I think that it's important for us to know that we're teaching for the students. This is all for them, and this quote identifies how I think that I'm going to be a teacher. As you can see, I've got a couple tabs up here, much like if someone were to do their archive with a binder and they would have separation tabs. We have separation tabs here. There's an About Me page that has a little bit of a minor biography about me, a daily reflections page, which I try to keep up with as much as possible. It's important to keep your daily reflections going, fresh in your mind, and have them for a chance to look back and remember what you originally thought about all of these activities, not just a group of activities that you hardly remember. I also have a methods course page that's separated into 4 separate methods courses. These are the courses that I chose to include in my archives. As you'll see, we have 318 here that has 4 of its own separate pages: essential questions, daily visual strategies, project-based learning, and daily activities. I chose to do this separation just for this class so we can know how to attack the different artifacts when we're going through this in the future. I do have a contact me page. It isn't necessary for this archive, but I do think that maybe if we do use this in the future for perhaps my student teaching mentors or maybe even my interviews when I'm applying, I can get this contact information directly to my email. So if they have any questions, I get it right away. So this is my method courses page. It's a guide through methods and materials. So let's get into the synthesis. I've got the buttons down here for the different classes, but I'd like to talk about my 318 page. This is where I keep my professional goals, and I'm going to read those to you and then discuss how I'd like to see these goals being changed. I want to create lessons that have current meaning for each and every student. I want to never get comfortable with my teaching practices and always be willing to learn and try new teaching strategies. I want to be actively learning from each lesson I give and observe so that I may see myself grow in my profession. A few short-term goals that I have: I'd like to become interested in a variety of content subjects and push myself to try new topics and methods. I'd like to work with my peers to develop our lessons and unit plans to be a collection of above and beyond standards and activities and objectives. I'd like to be willing to seek out difficult activities and topics to practice my teaching strategies while under the care and correction of my methods professors. I'm definitely willing to say that these professional goals are a lot different from the professional goals I had before this semester. These professional goals are based out of the multiple classrooms that I've been in since last semester, the different professors we have of this semester, and the different strategies and emphasis you have been teaching us with our lessons and our teaching strategies. So a couple things you might notice: I want to try new things. I want to branch out a little bit more. I want to test myself. I don't want to get comfortable. I think now, when I'm in methods and I do have professors that are willing to give me constructive criticism, it's the best time to try new things. I often gear towards the same topics in the same classroom settings and the same types of activities, when now I can really try those new topics like physics or novels, stuff like that that I have never been interested in. I should branch out from all this earth science that I'm in love with and really get involved in the new topics that I really am going to have to teach eventually. I know that I'm working towards these goals with every class I have. Specifically this class, once I start my unit with my group, I'm going to be able to try this new topic that I chose. It's a topic that isn't comfortable to me, and I think it's a good way for me to explore. Since I'll be having 3rd through 5th grade, I'll be able to try multiple strategies. I've got teaching strategies collected in this archive that I know that I'm going to be able to use, so that's exciting. Next, I'd like to address the story that this archive is telling about my learning. I think, as I mentioned before, this is a whole new semester, and there are 3 words that we have been continuously saying about this semester, and they might not be 3 that you would choose yourself. The 3 words are successful, productive, struggling. And it sounds silly, but this has been a tough semester, the toughest we've had as education students. We are demanded a lot, and we have many different topics and subjects and projects just coming at us, and it is a struggle. But it's a productive struggle because everything is so essential to what we're learning this semester. And I think that we're pretty successful. This has been an awesome group. We're feeding off of each other. We're learning new things. We're trying new things. And even when there's changes like what's happening with our units, we're learning from those, and it's making us grow into great educators. So we've got this successful, productive struggle. And you can see that in a couple different resources that I have on this website. And I'm just going to go to my methods courses homepage so we can have a little different view. To explain this productive struggle, I'd like to take a look at our science page of the archives. I've included an artifact that is my discrepant event I performed for the class. There's a reflection on what I did, a video of me performing this lesson, a digital download of the file of the lesson plan that I wrote up, and even some pictures and a little video of a peer activity that I found especially cool. What's important about this artifact is that it gives the archive a reflection on the way that I taught this lesson. It includes the words that I used, the words that I didn't use, a couple of my knickknacks that I do that I might not have known before, and even some of the hand motions that I get a little crazy about. This artifact is a perfect example of the artifacts that I've included in this archive. They're all going to be something that's going to help me progress as an educator. Everything I've included is going to be essential. Speaking of essential, another part I'd like to talk about for the synthesis paper is the essential questions we have in our ED 318. So let's move over to that webpage. I'd like to read to you my response from the first essential question. The first essential question included a quote that you chose. Reading is thinking and writing is speech. Now, as you can see, this was done on September 9th, so this was done a long time ago, but my response to this essential question still holds true. What does this mean in relation to what literacy is and how it is learned and practiced? As you can tell, my response is in a blog form. So what's cool about this website is every time that I get a new essential question in this course, I can just create a new reaction in my blog. So here's my response to our first essential question. We did say a little bit earlier in this class period that literacy is a way of making meaning in the world around you. I believe that reading provides a student the opportunity to internally digest what is happening. This is a chance for the reader to think on what has happened and what it means and how they feel about it. What I did include in my response is a couple fellow student thoughts. Comprehension. Visualizing is the way she reads and comprehends. Reading and writing is reciprocal. Scaffolding, one-on-one, think, read, repeat. No thought is an original thought. But when we teach reading, we normally teach to read out loud first. So they're just all these key words from a really awesome class discussion that we had on September 9th. But when we're given the opportunity to write, we're given the opportunity to make a statement. However strong or unimportant, it's still an opportunity to speak what we want. And that's my response to essential question number 1. So I'd like to start concluding this synthesis paper by going back to my home page. We made some pretty good progress with this archive. For the first synthesis paper, I've been able to include different activities from all courses. I've been able to include daily reflections as often as possible. And I've even submitted some videos on the lessons that I've been submitting in classes. I want to reiterate what we talked about. We talked about what I learned from doing this activity. I've learned that it's essential for me to be focusing on how I teach and how I'm going to progress as a teacher. This archive tells a story about my learning, and it tells me that I'm really focused on what I can do to grow and what I can do to progress since last year. We also talked about how this class and this year is a successful, productive struggle. There's many parts about this semester that have been really difficult for all of us, including myself, but it's progressive, and I do feel like I'm growing, and I do feel like I'm going to progress as a teacher, and I do feel like this archive is going to be essential for me progressing. We also went and looked at a couple of my long-term and short-term goals that I've made for myself this year. We talked about how they're different from last year and how they're going to be different by the end of this year. I'm going to continue to keep going towards those goals, and I'm going to use this archive to help me accomplish those goals. Finally, I'd like to say that I'm excited to continue with this archive. I know that it's going to help me in the future, and I know that I'll be happy that I use a digital archive to keep all of my information together. I look forward to working in my units in this class. I look forward to Bothwell Week, and I look forward to see how well this archive is going to develop. It's going to be an awesome resource when I'm finally in the classroom by myself. So thank you for listening to my digital archive response to my Praxis archive synthesis paper 1.